Okay. So I do host my classes in Zoom. I don't have to do that, but I do. I think it's a nice thing to do, hopefully. And I like to record them when I remember. And then I'll put them on YouTube afterwards, and so you'll have them. But first week, I tend to forget, or I'll be on mute or something. There's always something, but generally nice to have. So I'm not on mute. I'm recording. I'm sharing my screen. I'm feeling pretty good. So let's go back here. Now we can talk about the movement. So the announcement, that's really just to make sure that you get them, because that's how I will send out important information. So if I kind of need to get something out to you, then that's how I'll do it. So make sure it's all set up and hooked up and whatever. I don't know how to do that. If it didn't work, you'll have to go to IT. But I can go there with you if that would help. So me, so many E's. It's crazy. Like to buy a vowel. Emily, it's just Emily spelled funny. It's not like my parents are super cool or anything. I was born in Sweden, and that's just how you spell it there. And so they're very basic. Last name used to be Gustafson, so Lee is a lot easier. So you're welcome. You'll notice I like to give my cell. What? That's crazy. Oh my gosh. Is usually what coworkers say. I actually find that it's the most efficient way of communicating, especially for things like math and stats, where you're doing a lot of work by hand. I know, surprise. And it would just be really annoying to type that up, right? And so this way, if you're working on a problem, you can just send me a picture, say, hey, this isn't working. And then I'll look at it, I can kind of, send you some pointers or do the same, do some scribbles, send you a picture back. It's just I find a lot more efficient, okay? You've got my email. They go to the same place, so it doesn't actually matter to me, my phone. But I find that a text is like more urgent. An email, I can kind of sit on an email for a little bit, right? And so, whereas a text, I don't like any notifications, I don't like them. So you can use that to your advantage, I guess. What I will say is, if you have a question, just send it, okay? Don't worry about me. I'm an adult. My ringer is never, ever on. So I know you might be disturbed at how quickly / often I'll reply, but my ringer's never on. You're never actually disturbing anything. And so what I find is just kind of articulating the problem that you're having, right? That usually helps you solve the problem, right? So a lot of the time, I don't stay up super late. So a lot of the time I'll wake up and my phone's like, this problem, I cannot solve it. It's crazy, it's not working. And then it's like a series of messages, and it usually ends with, I got it. Great job. That was easy, right? And so that's what I mean. If you're working on something and you can articulate the problem, right? That's a really good first step. So just put it out there. And like I said, I'm an adult. I can decide when to reply to you, right? And if I'm out or whatever, usually I'll just let you know, okay, I won't be able to get to this for a little bit, okay? So you can trust that I will do that, okay? All right. My office, just downstairs, C104. It's a shared office, but my desk is right at the front. I always say if I'm in my office, it's my office hours. So, and I'm in my office a lot. So I'm around pretty much all the time. But for that reason, my office hours are by appointment. But what I mean by that is you can just, well, if you want, you can just text me, say, hey, are you on campus? Sure am. Come on over, right? I don't want to go all the way to the C building, for example. Are you there? Yeah, you bet. That's an appointment. Okay, so you don't have to set it up in advance or anything. So I'm usually available on short notice. You can text or email me to set up an appointment. I should put the appointment in air quotes, like pretty casual. Either in person or on Zoom. I do find that Zoom is a little bit more difficult, right? And so it's something that we can do, but in person is usually better. Okay? Well, any questions, comments, concerns? No. Test 1, test 2, we're gonna have 2 tests. And so I haven't picked those dates. I will. I sure will. Just haven't landed on them yet. We lose a couple of days with holiday Tuesdays, and it's really kind of bunging things up, but that's for me to deal with, not for you. And I hope you appreciate the TBD versus TBA. TBD, that's on me. I'm still deciding. TBA, to be announced, not on me. So, all right. So, let's see here. What else? I know. I was gonna do, sure. What makes me qualified to teach this course? Besides, I love teaching this course. This is like my jam, okay? And so I did my undergrad in math, and then I did my master's in stats. And I counted at one point, I've taught this course, or like a similar course, 25 times, and I've probably taught it, like 5 times more since then. So it's been a couple of goes, and I still love it. I love this course. It's so fun for me, and maybe for you. Maybe. So I had the Zoom link hidden earlier because often that causes a lot of confusion, right? Is this an online course, or is this I signed up for an in-person course? Of course you did, okay? But my reason for doing it is, well, I don't do mandatory attendance because you're all adults and you can make decisions. Obviously, do I think the best way to learn this stuff is to come to class? Yeah, I do still, right? Little ego boost for me too. But as long as you're progressing through the material and you're understanding and you're doing well, who am I to say, right? That's cool, that's great. Mission accomplished, right? And so however you do that, right, that's up to you. Okay? So I like to offer the Zoom link, right? So you can join during class. I use the same Zoom room for all my classes. So if you come in a different time, it might be a different class. And so that's good to know. But the Zoom is going to be a very passive thing, okay? Because I can't see the chat and I can't see your face, obviously. And you can just see my screen and hear my voice. Pretty boring stuff, but it's something. Okay. After class, I download the video. If all goes well, I've remembered to record it, and I'll put it on YouTube. Let's see if it goes. Yesterday, it didn't want to go. So if you wanted to, you could watch all the videos from last term. Ah, wow. I kept the link to last term's playlist just so you would see. Ours is empty, so I'll change the link once we have a video. But you'll be able to find it on my channel. Be sure to like and subscribe. No, you don't have to. I have 948 videos. That's a lot of very, very boring content. So if there's like a boring content award with very, very few likes, I think I would get it. I think so. But anyways, it's just a place to house my videos for free. So I'll put those videos up for you as we go. Okay. Yeah.
Do you use the whiteboard a lot? Like if we are on Zoom?
No, I try to only use my iPad. I only use my iPad. The only thing is that I kind of struggle with is sometimes I'll do this, or often I'll kind of, touch the, what is this thing called? Yeah, but like the sheet, the screen, I'll touch this thing, rolly thing. So that's the only thing. But then I really try to articulate that I'm doing that. So probably unsuccessfully, but still. But most of the time, so in here, because I'm just on I'll show you what it looks like most of the time. So most of the time, I'll be in here and I'll have a pointer like this. So I just use that. So I'd say that's the only thing you're missing out on is my dance moves, and that. Okay, good. Talked about Zoom, talked about YouTube, talked about, how about the Success Center? Do you guys know where it is? Yeah, in the library. Kate, she's awesome. So she'll be the one to go see, and she'll come visit us, hopefully next week or the following week. Just kind of introduce herself. But if you're unaware, the Success Center, they change their name all the time, but I think it's still the Success Center something. They do free tutoring, right? So they're just open. They've already been paid. They're yours to use, okay? And so I really encourage that, especially because for some reason, and I get it, it's scary to ask me a question, right? And so maybe asking someone else who's also familiar with the material. So usually I add Kate to our course, right? So she can kind of know what's going on. I really don't think she hops in that often, but she can. And so, so she knows the material very well, and she'll know what's going on, right? So if it's too scary to talk to me, you can go ask Kate, right? Or Josh, but he does more upper level math stuff. And so I think he would do it, but I suspect he might be busy with those guys. So, but I put the link here, you can check it out. I don't think there's any crazy information here, but Kate Sidlar, the one to watch. She's our gal. Yeah. And apparently available by drop-in, and I think she's there every day or almost every day. Kind of set times. Any questions? Oi. Oi, 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 oi. Oh, and we're not going to watch it because I can never get the audio to work and whatever. But there's this really awesome TED Talk about grit, if you haven't watched it, by Angela Duckworth. And so I think it's really kind of inspiring, especially if you're feeling like math. We'll do a lump kind of math topic, right? Isn't your jam? You're kind of like, oh, this is going to be kind of sticky for me because math is not my thing. Then I really encourage you to watch this this grit TED Talk to be inspired that anyone can do math. We're doing stats with math, obviously. It's under the math umbrella. Okay. And it's really short. It's only like 7 minutes, I think. So she does a lot of kind of academic success research. So how do you succeed in school, for example? I put my schedule on here. 1, so you can be jealous. 2, I know it's a really good schedule this term. Wow. 2, so that you know kind of when I'm available and when I'm not, roughly, right? And so most of the time I'll be around Monday, Wednesdays because I've got that late 6 p.m. class. But definitely all day Tuesday, all day Thursday, I'll be around. I don't have anything on Fridays this term, so I said likely off campus. So my husband lives in Victoria, and so sometimes I go visit him. Sometimes, not all the time. So I might be gone on Fridays. Okay? But like I said, you can always just text me, say, hey, are you around? No. Or yes. Maybe. Oh boy. So that's on there. Oi, I keep doing this, but I'm also zoomed in. Here we go. Put that under general resources, okay, on our Moodle page. So they're just hanging out. If I go to course material, I'll add stuff here as we go, things like the formula sheet, which you will get. Okay? But honestly, it's way too scary to hand out on the first day. I'd lose like 3 of you. No, I don't know. I should try it. I always think that, but I should try it and see what happens. I've posted our course outline, which we'll go through, but going through our Moodle page is kind of like going through the course outline. So we'll go through our Moodle page and then hop into our course outline briefly. We're using an open source textbook called Open Intro. Okay. Oh, look at this beautiful textbook. So I'll leave it on the corner so you can come feel it, because it's got this amazing texture. It's like really fun. I fear I've kind of rubbed some of it off, but from all the times I'm introducing it. But it's really nice. Now, it's very important that you get the 4th edition, okay? And so the hard copies are available on Amazon, and I think it was like 25 last time I checked, maybe 30 now, I don't know. But if you'd like to have a hard copy, they're kind of relatively inexpensive, but I've posted the PDF on here as well. So 4th edition is important because they change the order of everything from the 3rd to the 4th, and the 4th is just a lot better. So huge improvement, same material, but different order. So open source textbook, which means what? Which means I can assume that you have access to it. Wow, I know. That's a pickle, ain't it? There's chapter videos. Now, I'll be honest, I have not watched these. These were just from the author, and I really enjoy Mina as an author. I've worked with a couple of different of her textbooks, and I'd love to meet her. If I met her, I think she teaches at Duke. I know she teaches at Duke University, so little ways to go, but she's just awesome. So I trust that her videos are okay. And so I've just put them up there if you want them. Okay? These are the slides that I'll be working off of, right? Chapter 1, chapter 2, blah, 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 blah. I keep meaning to revamp them, improve them. At the end of every term, I'm like, wow, I should really go through and do that. And then it's summer, so I don't. But I should. But anyways, good starting point. So you have the slides, and I'll be writing kind of around the slides, and but you've got the base there. Okay? I'll post my notes after class too, so you'll have the notes, you'll have the video, right? So you've got all the things. I only did week 1 and week 2, and then I kind of ran into roadblock with the Tuesdays. But anyways, that's all we need for now. And so week 1, Thursday, that's now. Introductions. Not really. I'm just blabbing at you. That's my kind of introduction, I guess. But just kind of introducing the course and kind of getting to know me, I guess. And then next week, wowzers. Tuesday's a big day. We'll do all of chapter 1 in one day. It's not a lot. Well, it is, but it'll go smoothly, I think. I like to point out, so you're on the screen. I like to point out the sections, because then you'll see that we're not doing section 1.1, okay, for example. So these are the sections that we're going to do each day. Okay. And ideally, you would have read those sections beforehand, right? And now's the time to kind of do that, so you can feel good about doing that, and you're on top of things, right? But the reason I say ideally, right, is because even if it makes no sense at all when you're reading through it the first time, right? At least when I say it, it's the second time you hear it, right? And hopefully it'll kind of fill in some gaps, right? And it'll just make what I say maybe make a little bit more sense, okay? And so like I said, even if you read it and like, wow, that was crazy, that's okay, right? We're still gonna come in here and I'm gonna talk about it as if it's the first time, right? And so that's okay. But it really, really helps if when I say it isn't just the first time that you're hearing it, right? Then it sounds like, ugh, right? And so that's my recommendation, I guess. Right? And everyone's feeling so ready for the fresh term, right? Got this. The beach is calling, but you can read on the beach, right? That's a lie we all tell ourselves, I think. Not just me, but you could like have it close to you. I think that still counts. So, but on Tuesday, we're gonna do chapter 1, and then we slow down, and kind of 2.1 usually takes like a day and a half. So you got a little wiggle room. Okay. Over the weekend, I'll finish the weeks. We'll have a good layout. Okay. And so, but I just wanted you to see what it would look like. Okay. All right. Anything else before we do the course outline? Usually I have a little list, but I forgot my list, so I'm just flying blind. Yeah.
There was a cheat sheet for the formulas.
Yeah, the formula sheet.
Don't have to memorize them.
Yes. So there will be some that you need to memorize, but most of them will be on a formula sheet. Yeah. For me, in this course, what you'll find is this course is like a beautiful dance between math and English. It's kind of like an English course. So for me, the most important part is that you understand conceptually what's going on, right? Do I care that the number is correct? Not really, right? And so it's my emphasis is not on the math necessarily. It's on, do you understand what this number would mean, right? Even if you got the wrong number, right? You should know what that would mean for your data or whatever. Okay. And so, yeah, you'll have a pretty extensive formula sheet. Should I show it to you? Want to see it? I'm gonna hide it right away because I need this big group to stay with me. Okay. Actually, it doesn't matter to me at all, but it's just nice, you know? Let's see here. I guess I don't need to do that. Where is it? In the course material. Here's our formula sheet. But it's only 2 pages. Just forget you saw it. Just forget it. We're gonna work through it nice and sort of at a reasonable pace. Okay. We're gonna start here. There's a lot of extras in here too, so don't worry about that. We're gonna move here, and we'll move here, and we'll move here. Blah, blah, blah. So what's the verdict? Should I have handed out the formula sheet on the first day? Or am I doing the right thing? I'm hiding it.
Go for it.
Just throw it down. Set the expectation. No, I can't. So now you've seen it. But like I said, we're going to introduce it nice and slow. All right. So a lot of stuff is on there. But yeah. All right. Let's see here. Any other questions before I move to the course outline, which we've done a lot of already. Here we go. I usually start here. That's why I put my cell on here. But a lot of the same information. I'm curious. I always find a typo on here as I'm going through it. Curious to know what it'll be this time. Same information. You made it. So good. And course description, blah, blah, blah. Hopefully you read it before registering. Or maybe you just need to take it to graduate. Who needs to take this course to graduate? Very much. Well, more than half. Course materials. For transfer information, this course transfers to a lot of institutions, right? And so any sort of arts stats it would transfer to. Again, open intro, 4th edition. There's a download page, but I gave you the PDF, which I'm not entirely sure if I'm allowed to do or not, but I did. So, ha. Okay. We've got 20% assignments, which is a lot, I think. But there are a number of assignments make you work for it. Okay? But the assignment portion of your grade, in my opinion, you should have close to 100% of that, right? So if you're working through the assignments and you're kind of staying on top of things, right? That's in the bag. You got the assignment portion, right? And so we do online assignments in My Okanagan Math, or MOM, as we affectionately call her. And so there's lots of cool features, like you can get a new version of the question, right? You can get multiple attempts, and I'll give you late passes. So I'll give you, I think I give you like 15 late passes, right? And what a late pass does is it extends the due date by 24 hours, okay? And so you can just apply that. You just go into the assignment, say, hey, I want to apply a late pass, and then it just extends it for you. Okay, so you don't have to contact me, is the goal. You can just do it. Now, the only thing where I'm a stickler is you have to apply the late pass before the due date. Okay, and the reasoning there is, let's say you're working with a client and you've set a due date and you've known about it for a while, and it's always a week after we finish the material, right? And so they'll be on a rolling kind of clock there. But then you let them know after the due date passed that you're not going to make it. It's not a good look. And so I kind of apply the same philosophy, and I think that's pretty reasonable. And so you have to apply it before, but you don't have to wait until right before the due date. If you anticipate that you're going to need more time, you can just throw one on there. You can do multiple late passes on one assignment, although I wouldn't recommend it because each assignment is not worth very much, right? There's about one assignment per class, okay? So if you kind of, December, there's a number of assignments, okay? And so roughly one per class, and so kind of one per topic is what it ends up being. But so lots of opportunities, okay? And so don't get too hung up on a single assignment, right? Overall though, stay on top of it. Okay? We're gonna do 2 tests, okay? 20% each. and then a final exam, 40%. Okay? Now, what I do is if you miss a test, okay, for whatever reason, I care about you. I don't care about the reason. Okay. I'll shift the weight of your lowest test to the final exam. Okay. So you kind of get one freebie. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, then it's tempting to skip a test. No, no, no. Don't do that. Even if you're not prepared, if you're feeling like, wow, this is gonna be a mess, that's okay, right? There's value in coming in here and sitting down, reading these questions, and just see how you handle it, right? Just see how they kind of work out for you, right? You might surprise yourself, which happens more often than you think, actually. And so, which is pretty cute. Right? But there's so much value in coming in here and having that kind of test experience, right? All those questions, they're going to come back to you on the final exam, right? So it's better to have seen them in a test scenario. Right? After each test, I hand your test back, you get to keep them. I'll give you any spares I have, right? So you'll have those questions, but it's the sitting down in a test scenario that's so important. Okay? So don't just skip a test just because you don't feel ready, right? But also know that if you have one of these tests and it doesn't go well, it's okay, right? It'll just be your lowest test score, right? And I'll shift the weight to the final exam, assuming your final exam is better. Okay? Obviously, I wouldn't do it if it didn't benefit you. Okay, I can't do that until you've written the final exam. Okay, but I promise I will do that. Okay? And usually after a test, I'll remind you guys of that again, right? Because it's really important that you kind of keep your spirits high, right? And also, as long as you're improving, right? That's all that matters to me, right? As long as you're learning the material at some point, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah. Any questions about that? Okay. Pretty basic grade breakdown besides that. Assignments, 2 tests, final exam, right? Learning outcomes. The learning outcomes don't make sense until the end of the term, right? But we'll revisit these as we kind of review for the final exam, kind of talk about what a question for each of these might look like, for example, right? And things like that. So nice to have, but probably won't use it until final exam time. It's hard to imagine December right now, but it's coming. In the textbook, we're just going to flow through it, right? Just no jumping around. I do skip a couple of sections, okay? But for the most part, we just work through the textbook. Mostly because as a student myself, I would get so frustrated and so confused when well, a lot of profs would just assign a textbook, but then be like, oh, it's actually the secret set of notes that I have in my desk. And so it didn't help me at all. And so for that reason, we're just gonna work through the textbook. Okay? So let's see here. Probably won't mean anything now, but here we're gonna have test number 1. chapters 1 through 4. Okay. And then time permitting. I'd love to know if there's any prof out there who actually has time to do the time permitting stuff. I never ever do. And so we probably won't get to chapter 9, but we'll try. Give it the old college try. Ba-dum-psh. And then chapter 5, 6, and 7 will be on test 2. Okay? So kind of, now what's really nice about test 2 is we kind of settle down. Whereas test 1, we cover a lot of material just to kind of check boxes for transfer credits and things like that. And so it's going to feel like we're kind of jumping around a bit. Okay? And so we'll kind of be floating around. And then once we hit chapter 5, we'll really settle down and do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Isn't that so fun? But with just minor changes every day. Okay. And then usually final exam after that, obviously. Whatever we manage. Okay. Any questions about that? No. These department policies, they're auto-generated, so I kind of skip a few, but like I said, so I don't give makeup exams, right? If you miss a test, you miss a test. I already have the shifting of the weight. And so, right, that'll be your lowest test grade if you don't write it. Right? That'll get shifted. Question.
Is the final exam cumulative?
It is. Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be cumulative. All those test questions come back to haunt you. Right. But I do use the tests to prepare you for the final exam. Okay. And so, yeah, so I don't give any makeup exams because I do that shift anyways. Okay. And so it's good. Oh, if you're not able to write a test, that's okay, right? You don't have to let me know. You can handle that on your own. Usually people feel like they need to let me know, but that's also kind of stressful. If you're already not making it to a test, that's already stressful. So don't worry about me. All right, you can just have your blank test later. All right. A couple of these are blah, 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 blah. But one thing that I do need to highlight here is that you have to get at least 45% on the final exam in order to be able to pass. Okay, assuming that gets you a pass overall, obviously, right? You've done the test, blah, 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 assignments. But you have to get at least 45% on the final for me to be able to pass you. Okay. I always think of, so when I first started teaching, I was teaching at UBCO and I taught there mostly until I came down here. And so then up there, they just kind of let you do whatever you want. And they're like, oh yeah, you're doing great. And so then I was like, you got to pass the final to pass the course. And everyone's like, yeah, seems reasonable enough, right? And so then I came down here and it's 45%, right? And for some reason I was like, that is so harsh. How can they do that? But mine was higher. so it's like a thought experiment, right? You got to pass the final, pass the course. It sounds breezy. It sounds cool. But then we lower it and all of a sudden it sounds harsh. I don't know. But if you think of it as pass final to pass the course, you're good. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one who feels that way. But I had like a what? even though mine was harsher. Any questions about that though? No. And you can use any calculator. I like, this one's outdated. They don't sell these anymore. But something like this, right? You want to have a display. You don't want to have like one of those little tiny little things, right? Because we do some lengthier calculations, right? If you're able to, most scientific calculators, you can store numbers and recall them, right? And so that's going to be really helpful, okay? And so, and if you're not sure if your calculator has that function, I can have a look, and usually it'll have an STO button for store, right? Store whatever I just gave you, right? Keep it handy for later. Okay? And so I use that a lot. And so that's why I would say try to find something that has that. I bring bag O calculators to the tests. You'll need a calculator for the test, right? But what a nightmare using some random calculator that you don't know and love. Not for me. No, no, no. But I do bring my bag O calculators in case you forgot them. You can also borrow them from the library, I know, but it's far from here. So, and out of curiosity, did anyone buy the calculator that was on sale at Costco? I was tempted. I didn't buy it yet. I might. I don't know if it's still on sale. It was like 12 something. It was really cheap. So I'm curious to know how it is. I'll just buy it and add it to my bag O calculators. You'll get a formula sheet, and the final exam is cumulative. AI. Wow. I think we should use it. I think so. But I also feel strongly that everyone, I'm pointing to my heart, which is actually here, I guess, but I'm old school. Everyone knows what's appropriate and what's not, right? I think in our heart of hearts, we know, right? And so don't abuse it, but use it, right? Hey, here's a question. Can you generate a similar question, right? For practice, right? Sure. Why not? That's great. If you're really stuck, of course you could ask ChatGPT or whatever. But I would prefer that you ask me. I'll be less efficient, less fast, less everything, but I'll feel better about it, right? Or if you feel like, you know what, I just need that tiny little nudge, who cares? I guess go for it. I don't know, right? But don't abuse it, right? It's like, should I be saying that? I don't know. Should have paused the recording. We have some important dates because we have a Tuesday class, right? We're really kind of affected by all these holidays, which is fun as a student, but kind of tough for me. I know. Boo-hoo. But anyways, we've gotten through a good chunk of these days already because here's where classes begin. You made it. Congratulations. Last day to register, blah, 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 blah. And then we've got September 30th, a Tuesday. And Thanksgiving, October 13th is a Monday, that's fine. October 24th, this is, I think, one of the more important dates. Now, the reason for that is by October 24th, you'll have a really good idea of where this is headed, right? And if you're feeling like this is not my term, okay? This is not my term for Stat 121. It's okay. Everyone has a bad term. Okay? You never know when it's going to happen to you. Okay? Everyone at some point in their academic careers, they just have a bad term. Okay? And it can happen, and it's totally fine and normal. Okay? But what's important is October 24th is the last day to withdraw with a W. Okay? Now, this is where you need to be strategic, right? Because withdrawing with a W doesn't affect your GPA. Okay? Whereas if you kind of just wrote it out and you're not able to kind of pick things up, right? I encourage you to try if you think you got it, right? I'll help you out as best as I can. But a fail does affect your GPA, right? And so you want to keep that in mind. So be strategic at that point, right? That's an important date to keep in mind. Okay? And then we get a little Monday, Tuesday combo off. Okay? Well, November 11th, and then they're giving us the 10th as well. And just like that, December 5th. Game over. Easy. Wow. And what I'm really, really excited about is the very last day for final exams is December 18th. That's so early. I don't know if you're aware, but that's really early. So it's awesome. We talked about the Success Center. There's final exam policies, academic integrity policies, but I actually kind of expect that you've received all this from other sources. But basically, don't cheat, be nice to each other, and be nice to me. That's it. And there are other resources, access services, counseling services, and I'm sure many others. But Tiffany, that's the end of my course outline. How did I do? Not bad, but it's hard to tell. Can't remember if it was early or I think it's behind.
5 minutes-ish.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty
good.
Right now,
Nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Okay. That's all I had planned for today. Hit the ground running on Tuesday. Gives you the weekend to read chapter 1. How about that? All right. There aren't any questions. With that, I release you. Go hit the beach. Sure. I'll just stop this here.